Et salut YouTube, Umineko chapitre 6, avant-dernier épisode. Celui-là il va être assez court, hein, il va durer 1h30, 2 heures, quelque chose comme ça. Et demain on finira tout le chapitre 6 d'une traite. Mais beaucoup plus tôt bien sûr, parce que là j'ai lancé à 2 heures du mat sur Twitch, enfin c'est une catastrophe. Bref, on va quand même jouer un peu, et puis demain on se finit ça en bonne et due forme. Allez c'est parti. Truly, it isn't unthinkable. The servants are the most suspicious. It isn't as tough as any physical evidence, so we can tie them up and throw them in a closet. So we need to make sure that they're always was inside of those with guns, and that we keep an eye on them all the time. Aniki, we should also gather the master keys. Only the servants could have created those closed rooms. They must have done something with the chain locks and used some tools of arrangement that only the servants know about. They have all served us for a long time. I can only imagine that they will commit murder. Inzo-san's life is nearly over, and I hear that the inheritance problem is still very shaky. I learned that story about 10 tons of gold being hidden somewhere. Possible payoff like that might be enough to convince certain people to commit a crime. I don't want to think about it, but there's also a chance that the old bastard is running some bizarre occult ceremony. The servants of the One Wing are his pawns, and they might have been the ones to carry out the murders. What about Dad, anyway? Have we been able to contact him yet? No. The extension line isn't working either. The culprits may have broken in, and Fazito sometimes leave the receiver off the hook when he's in a bad mood. When I knocked him, I only received a grumpy reply. We can contact him, but that studio is well protected. It's probably safer there, so it might be best to have him stay there. Flustered, Cross tried to explain away Kinzo's silence. Butler, the game master, hadn't made Kinzo's death a major theme for this game, so the conversation didn't progress any further at this point. They stopped talking about Kinzo without Rudolph thinking anything was particularly suspicious. Anyway, we can't let the servants go unsupervised. I've already talked with Hideyoshi-san about this, but we decided to split everyone into 2 rooms on the 2nd floor and hold up in there. Why 2 rooms? Wouldn't 1 room be more secure? Well, if you try to stick 12 people in 1 room, that'd suffocate. It would be also best to isolate the people we need to keep closest eye on. There's Genji-san, the head of the servants, Goda-san, the largest one there, and Chloe just a kid, Canon-san is a boy. I think we need to pay those 3 special attention, Aniki. This way we can isolate that group and you and I keep a close eye on them. With 2 guns, the pair of us could cooperate on a moment's notice. If they make even a single suspicious move, boom! I understand, let's do that. But Rudolph, we cannot be certain that they are the culprits. Don't be too pushy. You're telling me we do not be pushy? We must be getting old. Right now, Hideyoshi-san is upstairs, dividing everyone into the 2 rooms. We'll gather the ones being isolated in the cousin room, and the other will go into the next room over. Alright, Aniki. What about Jessica-chan? She insists on being in the same room as you. Jessica. We are planning to have 5 people in the cousin room and 7 in the next room over. If Jessica-san wants to go to the cousin room, it'll be split clean down the middle. If this was a wolves and sheep puzzle, there are now 3 servants wolves and you 2 sheep in that room. If you add in Jessica-san, it'll be balanced out. For a while, Cross crossed his arm and thought. The cousin room will surely be more dangerous, so he wanted his daughter to go into the next room over. However, in an emergency like this, he wanted to have his daughter where he could see her. Let's let her stay with us. I might need her there to make sure we remain good dads and uncles. Yes. At the moment, even I am only trying to act in a rational manner. But I can guarantee that my sadness at losing my wife won't change to anger. Even without any physical evidence, the servants are certainly the most suspicious. During the long wait, the 2 men's weariness and anger and sadness might make them lose their reason and act out in anger. After thinking deeply, Cross decided to accept Jessica's request, in part to prevent such a thing from happening. I think that's a good idea. I approve as well. I agree. It's enough that only Rosa and I lose children. Rudolph. In this way, All of the survivors, except Kinzo, split into two groups and holed up in two rooms on the guest house second floor. One group was the cousin room, and Crows, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Canon, and Goda. 6 people. One group was in the next room over. Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Kumasawa, Nanjo, and Erika. 6 people here too. Perhaps as a result of the killer's doing, the external phone line had been cut off, and they will have to wait for the ferry boat coming the next day before they could contact the police. However, the weather report said that the typhoon will make the ocean rough all the next day. When such a thing happens, the ferry boat takes the day off. So it would probably be 2 days before the boat came. In other words, they will need to spend the full 2 nights holed up in the air. While Erika and the others held their planning meeting in the lounge, found and blankets had been brought in to prepare for the siege. The sudden tragedy had everyone on edge, but it was already well after 2 in the morning. If they really suspected the servants, then the observer couldn't afford to fall asleep at the same time. Either Gross or Rudolph should probably take a nap right away. Not bad. Even without the detective's authority, you've managed to take control pretty cleverly. A man who's lost his cool is no different from an emotional dog. If you treat them properly, it's easy to control them. One of the benefits of the detective's authority was being able to take charge of the situation. Because of this, Erika, who was both a guest and a young girl, had been able to order a large number of adults around that wheel. However, she didn't have that power this time. So Erika had taken charge by making good use of her natural conversation skills and technique for controlling men. The detective's authority is the same as magic. You can't do anything that's impossible for you. So I guess Erika was only acknowledged as such because she already had that much power. Magic is not something that's given to lazy or powerless humans. Right, on the contrary, people who can hide their great efforts are the ones we call witches. The absolute nature of the detective's authority can affect even magic. However, that convenient power probably hadn't been given to Erika easily. I probably have to acknowledge it. Even if she isn't given special power by the witch she serves, she's capable of quite a lot on her own. But Erika, why did you split them into 2 rooms? I figure you'd try to gather everyone into one room. I would have it if I have the detective's authority. This is a move to preserve my right to investigate as well. Ah, is that it? I see, not bad. Since Erika was being protected as a guest, it was hard for her to move about freely. In truth, she wanted to take some time and investigate the victims of the crime scenes at her leisure, without being interrupted by anyone. She had already inspected the scenes once, in a huge rush as she ran through the mansion, but it probably hadn't been perfect. However, they wouldn't have let a guest into the crime scenes, so she'd had no other choice back then. She wanted some time to herself and freedom to investigate more, in part so that she could check the closed room and causes of death more closely. Or is that related to splitting everyone into 2 rooms? Because you'll be able to trick them with it. Watch. Yes, that's the only reason I split them into 2 rooms. The cousin room was filled with a quiet tension. This room had 6 people. Crows, Jessica, and Rudolph, and then the most suspicious ones, the male servants Genji, Canon, and Goda, who had been forced to hold up in here. Jessica leaned against Crow's shoulder, wrapped up in a blanket. She was drowsy, but apparently couldn't get to sleep. It was no surprise. In this bizarre situation, it would probably take some time before she could accept her mother's death. Canon understood that this was the sort of time he should stay by Jessica's side, but that looked like it would be hard to do in front of Rudolph's intimidating glare. Rudolph stayed completely silent, but his inner emotions showed clearly in his eyes, so Genji, Canon, and Goda didn't have to ask to realize that they were suspected. Sometimes Goda has to help in an attempt to get on their good side and correct this misunderstanding, but it seemed to be having the opposite effect. The best option available to him was to stay quiet so that he didn't aggravate Rudolph and sit still all the end on the sofa. In the next room over, there were also 6 people: Erika, Hideyoshi, George, Shannon, Nanjo, and Kumasawa. The format of the room and the constricted atmosphere were the same as the cousin room, but even so, it was relatively calm there. George sat holding Shannon, was darkly hanging her head the whole time. Kumasawa and Nanjo sat nervously as they listened to Hideyoshi explain the situation. We don't know how many enemies there are. However, we have guns with us, and of course I've shot guns before. I'm not talking about the Hawaii shooting center here. It's been long enough that I can confess, but once definitely fired off on these occupying force pistols. You see, back then the black market was controlled by foreign gangsters. He probably wanted to make everyone feel secure by convincing them that he could be relied upon. Hideyoshi went into one of the old stories that everyone had heard many times, and which had gotten more extravagant each time they heard it. It didn't make them any more confident in Hideyoshi's ability, but it did seem to calm things down a little by bringing in a sense of normality. Why has a crime like this happened? I hope the boat comes tomorrow. That seems unlikely. Looks as if we'll be staying here for 2 nights. Now is a good time to get some sleep. Haha, my nerves aren't dull enough to let me sleep soundly in a situation like this. George-sama. The pain and anger of losing his mother are greatly tormented George. Oui, bah oui. Ça doit être ça, ouais. Sleepiness probably wouldn't be coming to him for a while. Erika suddenly clapped her hands, as though she had just remembered something. Then whispered in Hideyoshi's ear, interrupting the old story, which she had grown quite engrossed with. Sorry, I'm going to go to the cousin room for a second. There's one little thing I just need to check on with the servant over there. Can't you use the phone? You just need to dial the room number. Oh, have you forgotten? It seems the culprit has broken the phones. Wait, you don't mean you found some kind of contradiction in their testimonies? Up until this point, Erika has spent a lot of time giving the impression that she behaved like the detective. So Hideyoshi immediately assumed that this was something vital to do with the crime. It was easy to check, but it might be a huge lead. I'll be back before long. Please don't let anyone leave this room. Even though it's the next room over, it's too dangerous to go alone. You sure you don't want to take someone with you? We can trust the servants or Nanjo-san completely. You're in charge of this room. George-san is needed to support you. There's no one left. Don't worry, the detective never gets attacked. Erika had already worked out to look like a sharp, clear-headed person. Hideyoshi relaxed and agreed, thinking that he was just next door and wouldn't be a problem. After an hour, no. Better not to wander around too much. I stay over there until morning. It'll be better if I went until it gets light before I come back. Good thinking. You'll be careful now. It's just a little trip to the next room over. Take good care of this room. Please don't let anyone go outside. We've already brought everything we need up here, so there's no reason for anyone to leave. Food, drinks, blanket, medicine, towels, tissue paper, everything. The woman saw at the cosmetic pouches. They could last 48 hours without lacking for anything. I know. We aren't just here to protect ourselves. We are also on the lookout for the culprit if he is among us. Among us! Good. Goodbye then. Where are you going, Erika-chan? We promised that no one will go outside. Oh, Erika-chan remembers something important she had to do. She's going to the next room over. Don't worry, she'll be fine. Hideyoshi suspected that Shannon might be one of the culprits, since he also knew that Shannon and George had a special relationship. He apparently thought it would be prudent to mislead George about Erika's action and motive. Hideyoshi slowly opened the door and checked both ways down the corridor, his gun raised. It's okay, no one's there. That's fair enough. For all we know, Shannon-san might take George-san on stage as soon as you leave the room, right? It's careless even just showing your back to them, as you're doing now. You're right, Tyrion, be careful. Tell me all about it later. Sure, bye then. Erika closed the door, pushing Hideyoshi back inside. She then waited for the sound of the lock of the inside and her smiling eyes opened wide. Her expression had become ruthless and intelligent. In this way, Erika was able to gain several hours during which all the suspects were sealed up and she alone was free. Finally, I can investigate to my heart's content. But first, show me a battler. Don't use my full name. Allow me to confirm the location of all characters present. Repeat it. Of course, I'm not obligated to respond, remember? If you don't, I'll just say that someone sneaked out because I wasn't looking and that this person was responsible for the bizarre crimes that are sure to follow. If you want to show me an impossible murder, you should first confirm the location. Sure, why not? I'll listen at least. Let me hear it. From now on, instead of repeating the barricaded room next to the cousin room, let's just say the next room over. Does that work for you? Sounds simple enough, got it. And? When I check everyone's location as I'm about to do, I'm not concerned with whether they're alive or dead. Think of it as the location of the body. And of course I'm referring to the current point in time. Here we go. The 6 first Twilight victims are located at the places where they were discovered. Natsu is in her room, Eva is in the VIP room, Carrie is in Cross's studio, Rosa and Maria are in the parlor, and you are in the guest room. Don't tell me you're already going to refuse. Don't worry, I acknowledge it. First off, it was acknowledged that the victim's location were the same as the room that had been showed by the witch side's illusion. Good. I'll continue. Hideyoshi, Shannon, Komasawa and Nenjo are in the next room over. Acknowledged. With that, the humans in the room Erika had just left had been specified. Carefully checking even obvious things like that was most basic part of playing on the human side. Good. I continue. Everyone else is in the cousin room. The word everyone drew a slight reaction from Butler. The intuition it built up from all his previous game told him not to answer this one instantly. I refuse. Acknowledging that will mean that Kinzo's card will also have to be in the cousin room. Ah, pardon me. It has already been shown that Kinzo no longer exists, so please remove him from the word everyone. Why are you using the word everyone for the cousin room alone? Why are you so vague, when you just mentioned the name of Crows and the other 5 individually? It'd just be too much of a pain to read out all of the names. Or is there something wrong? Does using the word everyone create a problem with some trick of yours? If Butler had been told to repeat Crows, Rudolph, Jessica, Genji, Koda and Canon are in the cousin room, he would probably have acknowledged it with the rate without thinking too much about it. Of course, normally Erika would have mentioned the names of everyone inside and had him repeat it precisely. Butler had paused, feeling some kind of unease because of that unexpected demand on the word everyone. Excluding Kinzo and me, there are 17 people on this island. 6 were killed and are lying in the mansion, and 5 are in the next room over. And the remaining 6 are in the cousin room. That's a reasonable assumption to make, right? However, there are 17 people on the island, so if we subtract 6, then 5, then 6 again, we're left with 0 human, whose location have not been checked, but that sort of assumption will be extremely dangerous. I'm pretty sure that this sort of trick involving names and number of people caused you a lot of trouble with Nenjo's murder in the 3rd game. Good point. That trick worked because the ancient's name given didn't match up with the 18 people who actually existed, leaving room to add in an unknown person. Exactly. And so I cancelled Seeker just by checking the location by name. That's why I use the word everyone. That word can prevent you from using a new trick that I haven't even thought of. I see. Pretty crafty of you. If Butler was planning a new trick where the names and number of people would be used to create false alibis, like the murder of Nanjo in the 3rd game, even naming off all 17 people and checking their position left a trace of uncertainty behind. And if he cleverly managed to slip somebody past the names and number of people, for example, let's say that an unknown assassin X is hiding on this island. Let's call him Puru Puru Pico Man. I see, even if you list everyone's name and check the location, this Puru Puru Pico Man guy will fall outside the net. Precisely. Even hearing there are only 17 people on this island and here are the location of 17 people is insufficient. There are already a precedent for this. However, the word everyone is just too broad. Can't you word it a little better? Now, if we run away from the word everyone here, there's a chance that Erika will be able to use that as a basis for making Puru Puru Picoman the culprit for everything. Et il veut quoi Puru Puru Picoman là? Puru Puru Picoman quoi. My whole fight with you. I also nailed several riddles with no basis other than the unknown 18-person X. The word everyone is significant. Make sure you think very carefully first. Erika wore a full but evil smile, confident that she had made a powerful move. Prayers on the witch side might eradicate all possibilities that will be possible for humans. If I don't crush any chance for this ridiculously named Puru Puru Picoman right now, it'll be used to explain everything the witch does. That was a move I liked to use in my whole game with Beato. Back at the very beginning of the fight, my counter-attacks were all based on the unknown 19th person X. Because of that, Beato had restricted the number of people on the island, making it necessary to eliminate any unknown person hiding somewhere. In that case, this time is the same. So just like Beato did, I need to get rid of any leeway in which that X can exist. The number of people on the island had already been announced, but since she's suspecting drinks involving names and number of people, saying the same thing again won't satisfy her. In that case, I have no choice but to respond to her demand and use the word everyone. That word has a disturbing ring to it, and though I haven't figured it out yet, it feels like there's some kind of demonic killer moving on within it. Damn, after insulting Beato so much and saying that the witch side has a huge advantage, I'm getting this pressure just having to deal with a single line to repeat. Deflection, right? I mean the chess turn? Yes. This technique of putting pressure on an enemy piece, forcing him to move and making them weaken their own position. I'm threatening you with a broad and powerful piece called everyone, pressuring you to move. With this, Battleson will be able to perfectly guarantee alibis for all of the survivors. It'd probably make it possible for him to trap me in later impossible crimes. What exactly are you afraid of? Shouldn't it be a powerful move for you? But it's a move that you're pressuring me to make. You're trying to make me weaken my own position in some way. No matter how good a move seems, it's a bad move when it's what your opponent wants. However, it will be hard to avoid the word everyone here. Oh. The red truths can get the weak reasoning of the human side apart over and over. In the past I feared it ruthless. However, I saw learn quickly that it could be used as a basis for a counterattack. Yes, the red truth is a trump card, the treasure's word. Now I'm painfully aware of how Beato felt. It can kill with ease, but it's not something to be used unnecessarily. Using it carelessly will end up cornering the witch side instead. What will you do? We can put this on hold if you want. No. Okay, I acknowledge it. I acknowledge that everyone else is in the cousin room. Good, thank you very much, Betla-san. Beautifully done. Oh, I'm in trouble. A letter from a witch come in this situation, just who could I suspect? She said she was in trouble, but her face didn't look troubled at all. Elle est en train de nous corner là. Oh, pardon. Elle est en train de nous corner. On the contrary, she looked like though she had just succeeded in placing a huge opening move. In a witch game, even a single mistake can be fatal. In both chess and shogi, you can get a piece back once you moved it. That last exchange had left a bad aftertaste, as though flesh had been torn and bones broken. That should be enough for confirming positions. Shall we continue the game? Yes, we shall. Dlanor. Oh putain. Yes, Lady Erika. Let's get started right away. Let's use the privilege of our merciful game master has given us. Yes, understood. Gertrude Cornelia. Use 2 rooms worth of the 3 set of seals we were given. Let it be known that we understand. So the cousin room at the next room over. Was this everyone been sealed except from the victims? No matter what happened after this, the human within the seals won't be a problem. By the seals on the door and windows, the complete sealing of both the cousin room and the next room over had been granted. For just an instant, a red longsword had returned to Dlanor's hand. She had been given permission to draw it, thanks to the red truths that she'd finally gained. When the fight concerned these 2 sealed rooms from no one, Dlanor would be able to use that merciless blade, the red key. Its overwhelming power could slice even the game master in half. For a while, Erika and Dlanor just grinned at each other, entranced by the ruthless red light that was burned into their eyes. Senior 8. Allow me to ask a question. What is it? The players on that human side that interpret questions proposed by the witch as being the work of humans. We are not mistaken. If that is so, why are Lady Erika and Commander Dlanor fighting to lower the number of humans who can commit crimes? The honest question was a very simple one. Those 2 had made this move boldly, making it sound like it was a powerful one, almost as though it would greatly damage the witch. However, if you thought about it, Erika was just strangling her own neck. We still don't know what sort of crime will occur in the future. Will it not be more advantageous to the human if there are more people whose locations are not specified? Not is yet the time for the lady or the commander to reveal the thought. I apologize for my idle chatter. Cornelia looked like she wasn't satisfied. In the previous game, when trying to help Kinzo escape from his study, Butler had desperately tried to break free from the closed room using various methods. As a result, Kinzo had escaped into the darkness of the night. And it had later been possible to treat him like an elusive phantom. In other words, closed room were advantageous to witches and disadvantageous to humans. Witches proposed closed room and humans destroyed and denied them. That should have been the standard tactic of this game. And yet Erika had created closed room herself, sending a full 11 humans in them. In other words, this was the same as abandoning the right to use 11 people when explaining all the last later tricks. In the past, Butler had confirmed the location of certain people, but that had been to check whether certain pieces existed with which he could break closed room in a completely different situation. Why had Erika taken these 11 people, who were also pieces, and sealed them in a closed room? Cornelia hadn't experienced enough fights to understand this move. Which looked as though they were trapping themselves. A disturbing move. What on earth is Erika planning? It isn't necessarily an attack. In chess and shogi, strengthening the guard around you, a king, is an excellent strategy. In other words, the scenes around those two rooms aren't an attack but a guard. That seems likely. Thanks to that, it's hard to lay a hand on the survivors. It'll be tough to carry out the second twilight. Ah, I see. The witch side is an advantage when more riddles are presented. Yeah. After all, if even one riddle goes unsolved, the witch wins. Each new closed room represents increase our advantage. The riddles that the witch's side set up are equivalent to attacks. The human side must perfectly intercept all of those. It's almost like a penalty shootout, while letting a single point slip by means defeat. Should the witch side want to increase its number of attacks, the human side wants to lower the number of attacks. When Butler had fought on the human side, he hadn't saw the survivors holding up in a room as being particularly useful. However, from the witch's side's perspective, the strategy was simple but effective. What made Beato incredible was how she'd bluffed and sneered at this tactic, as though it was completely useless. On the inside, she must have been so worried over how to break down all of these barricades in each game. Right now, I'm sure of that. It's so straining your guard to make it hard to cram occurrence one way for the human side to fight. However, that's a simple move. The great detective Frodo Erika wouldn't have looked so confident after playing a move like that. Will Erika be happy after playing a defensive move? Though this move looked as such restraining herself, it's also extremely unlikely that Erika was playing defensively. I'm sure that this is an attack, not a move made for defense, though I don't know what kind of attack it is. Next is our move. What shall we do? For the moment, she has at least apparently spent her turn on strengthening a guard to stop the second twilight, instead of reasoning about the first twilight. If they push, pull back. If they pull back, push. In that case, it's time for us to attack. But how should we attack? The guest house is well guarded. Yes, it appears that though the entire guest house is now under Erika's control. However, there are certain pieces like bishops and knights whose specialty is cutting behind enemy lines. Butler snapped his fingers, and a single gold butterfly appeared from the darkness, then flew in front of the chessboard, trailing gold sparks behind it. It landed without a sound, then transformed into a black piece representing the witch's darkness. X-ray, that's also a chess term. Yes, it's a high-level technique. Each one square seems to be under an enemy's control, but you spotted that your own pieces actually have enough influence over it, so you attack. Erika, if you really believe that you can stop my next attack by sealing up all the survivors, that's just naive. Butler raised his new black piece high. His target was a single open space deep behind enemy lines. How will you handle it? This is my response. Ah, I can finally stretch my wings. First off, let's take a midnight stroll on to the mansion. You will take a stroll in the middle of the night to a nearby mansion where a killer might be hiding. You must be very insane. Glanor, est-ce que c'est pas un peu la go? Attends, ouais, je suis en train de me... J'aime me poser des questions. Est-ce que Glanor, c'est pas un peu... Est-ce que c'est pas un peu la goutte, finalement? Not at all. I worked so hard to get this time to myself, didn't I? Ah, ce serait la goutte si elle bossait pas pour une pourriture comme Erika, quoi. It feels like free time after a swimming lesson. That burnt castle was nowhere in sight. Erika was regaining her high spirits. She wasn't exaggerating when she said she was spreading her wings. Lana knew that she was risking her own destruction in this game, and she was not in a favorable position by any means. Lana could do nothing but assist Erika so that she could fight the best of her abilities. Alright, the locks on the first floor of the guest house are perfect. Je voulais vérifier un truc. The entrance is filled up with a chain lock. Before leaving the guest house, Erika did a check on the first floor, making sure that nothing was out of place. Then she found a flashlight and umbrella in the servant room next to the entrance. Then let's go. Yeah, well, at least I've not checked the cause of death 406. She untied the chain, unlocked the door, and opened it. The freezing outside are poured in. It appears to be quite windy still. Well, this body is just a case of flesh to me. I don't care if they get wet or cold. Let's go. When Erika dropped her gaze to open her umbrella, she noticed something lying at her feet. Oh la la! It's one of the usual letters. It was one of the letters sent by the witch, with the seal of the one-winged eagle on it. It had been wedged under the outside mat in front of the entrance, and so someone has predicted that Erika will eventually leave for the mansion by this way. It was in the shadow of the large eave, so it had avoided the rain entirely. So it's here already, almost as though it was waiting for me. She bent over and picked it up. She then tore it open recklessly and pulled the letter inside out of it. The message had been written in neat letters. Welcome, Erika-sama, it says. Also, it's calling me by name, and so it's coming. What does it say? It's an advance notice for crime. No, I should say it's a report after the fact. Apparently they have taken Rishumi Battle Corps. It's basically saying, please try looking for it. But this isn't the report the two who are closed off the second Twilight. Well, disappearing corpses happened a few times in Bato's game too. There's nothing really new about this. Mika shrugged and scorned the letter. However, this letter was a real attack. All the survivors were sealed in rooms on the second floor, and at the very end, after she had gone around with Cross and the other to check the locks on doors and windows, Erika had personally confirmed that there was nothing at the spot. So this was an attack saying someone who shouldn't be here placed the letter, and that this someone was a witch. That was also an attack that the whole battle had often used. Sheesh. Either way you show it is the same. Please tell me that your trick isn't the same too. Leonor, please call Butler here. Understood. Lord Butler, we wish to take our turn. You got it? Let's have it. Sorry, I actually don't have a move to declare. The truth is, there's something I need to apologize for. Apologize? Butler and Beato's eyes went wide. However, though Erika said that she wanted to apologize, she had a confident look on her face, although even that apology would be a new move. So Butler glared at her dubiously without letting her guard down. It's about those retroactive seals. I actually already sealed one place. I apologize for taking so long to report this to you. You already sealed something? In other words, You've already used up all 3 rooms worth? Yes. I promised that I'd report on it right away, but I completely forgot until just now. You have my sincere apologies. You don't look like someone who's sincerely apologizing. Well, that's fine. I'm the one who gave you that privilege. So, what did you see? Seal? Lanor? Well, I made to report. Atlas' guest room was sealed at the time of Lady Erika's inspection of the corpses. I had to try not to let it show on her face, but her eyebrow twitched visibly and her gaze flicked over to Butler. Normally I would like to seal all the closed room, but I didn't have enough packing tape. Out of respect to the game master, I sealed only the room with Butler's and corpses. So were you kind enough to close the lid on my coffin? Pardon. I remember a short while ago when I was planning to tell you where we reached the mansion and investigated the guest room with your corpse in it. However, when this letter appeared, I figured I should report this right away. Why did you think that? Well, after all, Butler had been playing this game ignorant of the fact that this corpse was all sealed in the guest room. Because of that, I thought I might possibly change things regarding the appearance of this letter. The cousin room and the next room over are currently sealed. Sorry for the late report, but the guest room with your corpse is also sealed. And there are 17 people on the island, excluding Lady Erika. The existence of an 18th person have already been denied in a previous game. In that case, even with thinking about some person who could place this letter and the disappearance of your corpse, I thought maybe... I thought this might change things around a bit. Erika laughed crudely while staring into Butler's eyes to see if he was panicked or disturbed. Butler-san. Stay calm, Erika just made a report a bit late. There's no need to lose your cool. Erika had suspected it since the beginning. It was possible that Butler actually hadn't been killed and was still alive. And if he was alive, then the letter that had suddenly appeared was easy to explain, even though all of the survivors were sealed up. Changing back Beato's faint hesitation, maybe Erika's guess had been right on the mark. Butler played dead and somehow got around Erika's examination, and then while everyone was barricading themselves in the guest house, he snuck onto the guest room. After that, he placed a letter detailing the disappearance of his own corpse in the entrance to the lobby, and he hid himself. If that was the truth, then the seals that had been placed in Butler's guest room at the time of Erika's examination were not very significant. In other words, if it was a trick they used, then Butler would certainly have broken the seals when he left the guest room. The trick will not be workable without breaking the seals. Since the survivors were all sealed up inside the guest house, then if the seals on the guest room were broken, it meant acknowledging that at least one of the victims was actually alive. If Butler had known about the seals earlier, it was likely that he would have advanced the game in a different way to avoid this. In other words, it was very likely that an announcement about the seal would have a large effect on the rest of Butler's game. Like I was saying, if Butler avoided breaking the seals because they were pretending to be a corpse and instead remained inside the guest room, perhaps this letter would not have appeared in the story. If Butler was actually alive and had placed the letter there, then know that Erika's seals had come into play. There was a chance that this trick would cause a contradiction somewhere down the line. That sort of contradiction is called a logic error. A logic error? I think we heard about that really early on the story. It's a violation of the rules, the greatest and worst form of error, which the witch side must avoid making. Yeah, I remember. There's something about the two sides of the tale not matching and creating a contradiction. Do you remember the magic of making candy appear inside an Overton cup? Yeah. My Anish and Erika were fighting about that. Apparently it was just a simple trick where someone slipped the candy into the cup while Anish had her eye closed. That's right, since Maria did not observe the process of the trick and was only given the results. She accepted the illusion of magic that the candy has appeared by magic inside the cup and magic was established. Okay, so logic error will be a trick that has become impossible. If you think about it, Erika and Maria's fierce red and blue truce battle over this magic was the real opening of this tale's fight. Let's try to remember that exchange. The heartless truth was that it has to be a trick. Making the kanji appear in the cup by magic had been nothing more than Beato's claim. Magic can only do things that one can accomplish. In other words, you can only have a magical result if it's something that could have been done without magic. Let's be clear, there are two general types of magic. If you summon giants, and make towers grow from the ground. But when the lid is taken off, nothing has happened in the Rose Garden. That's one type of magic. That's just an illusion. It's a lie with no observers that take place where the witch says it did, in a location without any of the anti-magic toxin. Magic that doesn't have to match the results is the most simple kind, a lie. It's the same as a worthless delusion, an illusion, a daydream. Even Battle saw through it partway through the third game. Then there is another kind, which we may call true magic, magic that matches a result. The cup trick is an example of magic that matches a result, since an observer actually checks to see that the cup contents were empty before seeing a candy appear there, and as an actual observer of the incident is created. I've discovered one big rule: magic matching a result has to follow, unlike the magic of illusions. The rule is that only the unobserved process of what you accomplish can be transformed into magic. I can speak even more generally and ruthlessly. In short, all forms of magic are tricks. Only thing that can be accomplished without magic can have a matching result. Ironically, this also proves that magic doesn't actually exist. Rather than respect for the witch's game, let's call it making the game solvable and fair for the human player. So, instead of the candy inside that cup, we know of this mysterious letter that appeared in front of Erica. That there have to be tricks. By claiming that the witch said the letter there by magic, my Chan is trying to create magic that matches the result. Correct? Since all of the survivors are sealed within the closet room of the guest house, it's possible to embellish this suddenly appearing letter and say it was a curious bit of magic, for only a witch could have placed it there. But even so, it must be an impossible trick in the end. In order to see through the trick with the candy and the cap, Erica had countered with the Bluetooth, saying that the candy had been snuck in there while her eye was closed. That was the correct answer, so Maria hadn't had any red that she could use. But what if she had used it? For example, what if Maria had used the red truth then to say, until I lit the cup up, the closed room of the overturned cup remained intact? The red truth can only be used to refer to the truth, right? You could lie with it, it'd be a massive violation of the rules. Yes, denying your own trick with the red truth is a major violation of the rules. However, if you instantly switch over to another trick that doesn't violate the red truth, it may be slightly unfair, but that red truth can be acknowledged. So in this case, the witch side will need to immediately propose another trick that doesn't contradict the red truth, stating that the closed room inside the cup was preserved. Like the excuses of the politician where he keeps backtracking and new evidence is shown to him. Yes. Well, for a red line this, she might be able to get away with some painful excuses. Maybe there was some device in the table, or maybe it was a trick cup with a fake bottom. But if those possibilities had been denied beforehand, this will not be valid. The more red truths there are, the harder it is to talk your way out. In actuality, the candy had been put in the cup while Maria's eyes were closed. However, if where Enrique saw through that, Maria has used the red truth to say that the closed room of the cup had been preserved. The witch will have to rush and revise the scenario to a new trick that still worked logically after that new red. Revising the scenario is an unfair move that will never be allowed in the mystery genre. However, the very act of revising the scenario takes place inside the witch's head, which is an observable world. So if she claimed that she'd been using the trick with the fake bottom cap from the beginning, no one could deny it. So even if it really was a trick done while Anichan's eyes were closed, as long as the witch leaves herself a way out, she can even switch between tricks. Rather than calling this an action available to witches, we could probably say this is only usable by the game master, the one who creates and writes. But even so, the new truth must not contradict any of the previously stated red truth. If the red truth makes it so that the trick no longer makes logical sense, then there will be a mismatch between the two sides of the story, the illusory result that the game master claims is magic, and the true result that was brought about by a trick. So when we get a contradiction and it no longer makes logical sense, we call it a logic error. And that will mean the destruction of the witch's game. This was a game that's possible to explain with humans. In other words, it may be possible for all magics to have been done by trick as well. If it's impossible to do with tricks, then the human side has no move and we get a stalemate. No, not quite. That's where we get the fatal and horrible violation known as logic error. When the witch side does this, the game is instantly destroyed and they suffer a fatal defeat. Rick has probably seen through the ancient trick. Without the detective's authority, she couldn't perform a proper examination of the corpses. Because of that, he continued to play dead, snuck out of the guest room and placed the letter on the entrance to the guest house. However, because Butler was so overly gracious in giving out those retroactive seals, the thing was wrong. Stupid Oni-chan. The current situation still does not warrant panic. It still hasn't been specified with red truths that the seals around the guest room are intact. He is free to break the seals. If he doesn't, then he can probably have it so that someone other than Butler was alive, and swap them in on the person who placed the letter. That's right. It's not just Oni-chan, the other corpses haven't been specified as dead by the red yet. So far, there wouldn't be any problem if they were all faking. True, this is far too soon for them to get flustered. All he has to do is change his move to the Terry seal and the placement of the letter don't contradict each other. And revising the plot without contradiction is one of the moves available to the game master. However, taking a scenario one as imagined and revising in part with through can sometimes create flaws in the tale. It will be a very regrettable move to make when the first Twilight has only just ended. It would seem that Butler was the one with an enemy piece moved deep behind his lines. Its hidden piece would probably cause him pain and discomfort which is safe from now, like a pebble caught in one shoe. A single pebble might kill Butler. This still isn't quite a logic error, and so we sell the room retroactively. We are at fault for the lateness in reporting it, so I have no problem with letting Battleton retroactively rewrite the plot concerning this later. Retroactively rewrite the plot? I see. If I place the letter there, then that would become impossible as soon as I was in the closed room. In which case, the letter should have appeared here. Correct? So I saw you should have the chance to revise this small inconsistency. We just now discovered this letter here. We are saying that we do not mind if you want to undo that, or if you want to use a revised scenario. Just by the existence of the letter and packing tape, this sort of move is possible for Fudo Erika. What do you think, everyone? Damn, what a dirty move. Well, what else should I expect from Erika? I made a promise with Lana too that we'd both play all out and mercilessly. Yes, it's true. I've been planning to make Butler actually alive and then to have him slip out of the guest room, resulting in his disappearance and in the placement of the letter. However, if I revise the scenario and that my move has been spotted, it will be the same as admitting that it was spotted. Even if I have to be stubborn about it, I don't want to admit that I was seen through here. I don't want to acknowledge a pathetic plot change when I try to sneak out of the guest room and break the seals. I want to change over to a different trick so that the letter will be placed in my corpse hidden, while still preserving the seals in the guest room. Ça va le perdre, Butler, tout ça. Hein. Enfin, je pense. It doesn't really have to be me who places that letter. I can still revise the logic without contradictions. But Butler-san, even if you can place the letter somehow, how are you going to make your corpse vanish afterwards? The guest room is sealed. If you don't find a trick to erase the corpse from the closed room right now, a logic error will occur. I still have time. Let me think until the last second. Damn it. With a painful laugh, Butler unconsciously scratched at his head. Anyway, we'll leave the letter like this. I can't say how sorry about that. Having the guest room sealed makes a big contradiction, so I'd like to revise my move. It will mean acknowledging that she caught me. I feel like a ninja hiding above the ceiling. Even so, I was noticed and stabbed by a spear. I just withstood the pain, wiped the blood of the spear, and acted as though nothing happened. False courage works well enough. I can't let her know that this one hurt. Butler-san. Hey, Beato. Do you know what my face looks like now? I'm sure it's the same expression you had when I imagined you hate your words in the past. Damn it. Beato couldn't think of anything to say. Useless words of comfort will only get in the way of Butler's thinking now. What would they hold you do? They hold you who created all the closed room that tormented me so much in the past. What kind of trick would she use to erase my corpse from a closed room? Beato trembled and groaned. The older has been an expert at closed room tricks. If only that memory, that power could be revived, she would be able to help Butler. There's still time to think. There's still time. Nice going, Erika. That was a dirty move. Oh la 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 la. Ça va péter. Péter. Je sens que le final peut être éblouissant. The entrance to the mansion was locked, but Erika had the master key, so she opened it without any trouble. She had gotten Cross and the others to take the master keys from the servants, and at that time she had used a little sleight of hand to pilfer one of them. Oh, la musique de fou. Oh que oui. Oh que oui, on danse. Laissez-moi danser un peu. Eh, 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 eh. Well then, where shall we go first? Why ask? Let's go and hear Battle-san's answer. Grinning, Erika cut across the entrance hall, passed in front of the dining hall, deeper. He headed for the guest room Butler had lain dead in. Nothing could put off deciding whether the seal will remain whole or not until the moment right before Erika witnessed them. However, once she did witness them, the game master will have to show what had happened to them. In the witches' game they were in now, the simple act of going to check the seals around the guest room was an attack. Are you ready, Lord Butler? Yeah. Or I should say it. Come, step forward. Good, then show us your response. Well, no, are the seals broken or are they not? Has the closed room been preserved or hasn't it? The piece Erika had held in the air was the White Queen, which represented herself. Her target was Butler's camp. She attacked. Erika dashed down the hallway with a sickening smile and clung to the guest room door like a spider. Then she closely examined the seal she had placed retroactively. Are you sure? You are sure about this, right, Butler-san? Is this okay, Butler-san? Yeah, I can't back down here. After all, even if I'm still in here, there are ways of placing the letter. But now Erika will probably enter the guest room, and then she will observe your corpse. What are you going to do? If the corpse is there, then there's no problem. The letter's prediction will be off, but it's not and there's a penalty for that. But shall we intend to fight head on? There are times when a man is challenged head on that he has to respond no matter who their opponent. I must not pull back here. Ça c'est de la musique. I'll take that challenge. I can search for a way out all I want to later. I managed to do that with Kinzo's studio last time. Don't worry, I can do it. I can do it. Come on, Erika. We have confirmed that the seals of the guest room are undamaged. Since the time Lady Erika confirmed Butler's presence, the closed room has been preserved. Good. I'm breaking the seals. Ripped here. Erika destroyed the backing tape seal on the door in ecstasy. It looked as though the intellectual rapist had finally laid her true nature bare. Okay, I'm opening it. Let's have a look at Battle-san's naked scenario. Like a ruffian pushing down a frail girl, Erika mercilessly and greedily threw the door open. Then finally the inside of the Butler guest room was observed by Erika. Butler had to show it. Was there a corpse or wasn't there? Come on, Butler. Ah, it's my response. Butler grabbed the black piece from the board and raised it high. Ah, the piece. Had no memory of the time she had been an expert at this game. And yet for some reason she realized that this was a move that could not be taken back. Once this piece was moved, they couldn't move it back. Wow. The guest room was covered by a seal in darkness. It was pitch black and nothing could be seen. However, there was a light switch just off to the side of the entrance. If she flicked that, the room would be lit up and she would see whether or not there was a corpse on the bed. Can I turn them on? Now wait a second, please. Let I have a proposal. Let's hear it. I think you already know. But this time around, I'm not aiming to find the culprit and achieve a standard victory. My enemy is not the lowly culprit killing the pieces, but my opponent, you yourself. I know. Through after a logic error. I'm seriously regretting it now. Even though you were just pretending to be miserable, I fell for it completely, and gave you a ridiculous ability. That was your pride. It will cost you dearly. Damn it. So what is your proposal? With a firm voice, Beato urged her to continue. Until just a second ago, she had remained behind Battle's back, a bit flustered. However, she was steady now. She saw that Battler had let his emotion take control of him and had been lured into making a bad move, and realized that it was time for her to stay cool and support them. Erika's proposal couldn't be anything good, and on top of that, Erika was sly. She probably wouldn't make a proposal that would be easily rejected. I will not turn on the light. The top of the bed will be lit up and it will be decided whether or not Butler has disappeared as I later predicted. If he's there, great. There's nothing strange at all. The rest of his prediction will just be wrong. Of course the argument will probably switch over to then who put the letter there, but for the time being the location of the fight will move inside this closed room. And if he's missing? Beto already knew. She knew the move that Butler had made a second ago. Butler had already disappeared from this room. Therefore they will need to prepare a disappearing trick other than he was actually alive and led through the door. The situation is simple. First, this room is a closed room. Also, Butler's life or death status hasn't been confirmed. In other words, him being alive wouldn't cause any problems. They had to make Erika think that Butler had vanished from the situation. He just had to escape from the room. Or if that wasn't possible, he just had to hide somehow and wait for her to leave, making her think that he'd disappeared. Inside this tiny room, our in the beginning of our endgame, the chase after the king. It showed only just a few moves. He'll be unable to construct the logic needed to let Bantler escape from this room, and the tail will be destroyed. Game over. Fighting to keep that from happening is our job. What is this proposal of yours? An endgame fight over a logic error should be a bit more precise. Once again we will fight with the red and blue truth, but we need the referee on the same level as the game master to observe and see that it doesn't create any logic error with the red truth. That seems reasonable. There's nothing special about this. Back when the whole you was a game master, you were under the observation of your guardian, Lady on the Delta. In that way it was judged that all red truths were valid. So you're telling us to show on the Delta our cards? I've been watching since the beginning. It's okay, don't worry. I'm impartial in my judgments. Can you say that in red? Yep. I swear I'm impartial in my judgments. I was plenty impartial in the last game, wasn't I? Especially for interesting judgments where she doesn't care which way it falls. Accept it, Butler. Erika is going to corner you. Understand? She will duel with you and kill you in this room. If you are a man, accept the duel. Sure, fine. You won't get anywhere if you suspect every single impossible murder I show of being a logic error. It's true that we need an observer to guarantee that the game is legitimate. Then I'll come around to your side. Let me take a look at your hands. And the Delta understood what Butler had up his sleeve, and she thought that Erika's first move had indeed gone straight through his heart. Just as Erika had guessed, Butler was alive and had slipped out of the room after Erika had examined his corpse, placed the letter by the guest house and hid himself somewhere. And the packing tape seals had been retroactively placed on the guest room. You wouldn't have to show that they'd been torn. However, if you had done that, it would be the same as admitting that it'd been seen through and that he'd lost. And willing to admit that, Butler had claimed that the seals had been maintained with false courage and was now rushing to revise his logic. True, he could still escape for a few more moves. However, Erika was planning to corner and kill him here. Butler, you're fighting with some pretty incredible cards here. Cards? This game of chess looks like a card game to you? To me it looks as though you are all playing a game of poker. So by moving this side and looking at the card you hold, I understand everything. That's enough. That's an awful move. It's a complete waste. Henrik has already seen right through you. What would you do? I'm the referee, I can give you advice. But let me tell you my impressions. Oh, that's okay. It's chilling. You're trying to use this useless move, this baseless bluff, to make Erika back down. She's not going to back down, that girl. After all, you're the one who should be throwing his chips and it's folding now. Thanks for the advice. But listen, I agree with her. Let's back down from the fight in this room. We don't have any winning cards. Or are you hoping to discard your cards and draw something more useful? I saw you were playing chess. In the world of chess, if you rely on luck, you die. by hoping to draw something useful. She meant relying on luck and betting that, even if he couldn't think of a trick now, he might think of a good plan for making a close room check later on. If you enter into the fight without any trick in mind, you get killed. Now was the time to back down. When Erika flipped the switch, she just had to be sleeping there on that bed. That's all he needs. Lambda. I don't know what you're talking about, but you're chatting too much. Our referee needs to be impartial. Oh, then good luck, Battler. I'm hoping for a precise chess-like battle. You aren't playing poker, are you? Are you ready, Battler-san? Yeah, I am. Turn the light on whenever you want. For the rest of the fight in this room, the progression of time will be stopped. This way all the move robots play will be made at the same time, and the first move made will be treated no differently than the last move. It might be hard to understand, but this rule exists for the purpose of maintaining logic, and to keep you protected as well. From here on out, you can use all twisted logic you want to rebuild the trick in this room. In other words, it's possible that you might think of a good idea partway through the fight. Normally it's unfair to revise a plot partway through. In order for that to be acceptable, you need the word stopped in time where everything happens at once, and what logic do you think of afterwards can counter your opponent's earlier moves. C'est Jotaro, c'est maintenant. Le coup que Battler soit pas mort et que du coup ce soit en vrai c'était ballsy et tout hein. Ça pourrait fonctionner. If you revise the trick to be a new one, she can deal with that in a different way. Yes, Pipers, il sort le 24 juin. It is pretty complicated. It's simple, it's like a corrupt politician aware of twisted logic, who lies shamelessly. When evidence is shown revealing that lie, you retract those previous lies and shamelessly say that you just remember it wrong. Then change to a new lie that doesn't have any contradictions. The fight goes between lie, evidence, and exposing it, then another lie. Like a fight between two snakes spinning around trying to eat each other's tail. Vas-y, merci Spipers. Good, just think of that. C'est un court stream, hein, je coupe dans 1 heure, même pas. C'est histoire d'avancer un peu pour pouvoir finir tranquille demain, quoi. Basically, a world which you're able to just switch his logic based off all your opponent moves as often as you want. I use that myself when setting this room. Someone said it was only fair to let you do the same. You have no shame, do you? Okay, then let's have both sides begin. Well, we gotta take the first move. We'll start by checking the bed, by checking to see what's his bed. Yeah, let's start by checking to see if Battler's on the bed. Erika, begin. Leave it to me, my master. Light on! With a click, the sound of the light switch rang out, and the bulb turned on, lighting up the room. On Battler's bed was... Lionel, don't turn me to the red. Yes, will show me a Battler. Now it's my move. I say it. Will show me a Battler is not on the bed. Good. I'm glad you didn't run away from the fight. I'm impressed. It's a high-stake battle, so it'll cost you a lot if you're no one who loses. Commande des pizzas à 3h du mat, je sais pas comment tu fais, mais force à what? Are you prepared? No one will raise the stakes unless they feel confident in their advantage. Moi je peux pas 3h du mat, y'a rien qui est ouvert. Ah si, y'a le McDo à côté de chez WAM. Mais bon. Pas faim. Lanner, keep a record. As you wish. At Lanner's note, Cornelia, who was hanging back, started taking a record. She wrote down that Battler calls which showed to have been on the bed was not. And also that Battler hadn't backed down from this closed room game. As previously announced, Battler's first move is to have the corpse vanish. Now it's Erika's turn. Go ahead. I present the possibility that Ushirmia Battler is alive and hiding somewhere in this room. I proclaim this with the brute truth. And valid, if you want to use the brute truth, give me a specific location. In the last game, Battle did that in Kansas Tuesday, and Lana made Swiss cheese of her, right? Are you trying to take revenge for that? Before I start searching, I have one brute truth I can use without a search. There is a possibility of a hidden door hex that is impossible to discover. He is hidden behind that, so it's impossible for me to find him. Not absurd, it's forbidden for hidden passages to exist. Isn't that right? No, hidden places that are impossible for Erika to find exist inside the guest room. Mais à toi, il joue quand même, hein. Et bah, bonne pizza à toi, la spipe. Moi, je continue mon chat. Tranquillement. Métaphore, non, 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 je... D'ailleurs, faut que je le fasse, métaphore. Faut que je le fasse sur PC. Problème de le prendre sur Switch. Mais je sais pas, il me tente moins. L'ambiance Persona médiévale me tente un peu moins, genre. Je devrais le faire, mais... Je l'ai acheté en plus sur PC, mais j'arrive juste pas à me lancer dedans. Et bon, après Umineko, on va ralentir un peu, quoi. On va peut-être pas relancer un jeu qui dure 100 heures. P4, bien sûr que je vais le faire, par contre, le remake. Ça, c'est sûr. Day One. Bien sûr, bien sûr. Et si, parce qu'en plus, après Umineko, on est censé faire Higurashi. Mais bon, il est un peu moins long, donc... ça ira, quoi. Noxert Valid. Good. Then let's get started with the search. Rika slowly began to walk around the room until the endgame had started. Rika had been energetic, jumping about impatiently like a hungry dog. However, now that his electrode began, so the settling battle of wits where each breast mirror tense. Ah non, pas de l'eau 15. La 16 c'est mort. Mais par contre, je vais aller shooter 70 et 120. Ça c'est sûr. C'est pour ça que j'essaye de faire Umineko rapidement, comme ça je peux retourner sur Mario, quoi. C'est ça l'idée. Even the quiet sound of the rain was distracting. Now that I've searched the room, let's confirm its layout. The guest room is divided into the two rooms, the bedroom and the bathroom. Lady Erika has currently searched your entire bedroom section. There's only one exception. I leave that one place for the time being. So were there any irregularities that covered in the bedroom? There were none. Except for one location, there is no one to be seen in the bedroom. What's except of one location business? Say it without being annoying. There's a reason the face down car remains face down. I turn it over if it's needed, so look forward to it. After seriously shaking the bedroom, Erika hid it from the bathroom door. Since he wasn't in the bedroom, it was natural to think that he was in the bathroom. And since the guest room was made up of two rooms, if Butler wasn't in the bedroom either, it would mean that he had managed to vanish from the closed room. Except for that single location that Erika has intentionally left unchecked. I'm checking the bathroom. Lady Erika, the sound of water can be heard from inside. Also there is a faint heat. Oh, don't tell me he's taking a shower. Is it locked or something? No, it isn't locked. Go ahead and open it. Then if you allow me. Slowly Erika put her hand on the doorknob on the bathroom door. She tried to push it open but felt a strange resistance. Of course it wasn't the resistance of the lock. It felt as though he had an unnatural load on it. Out from the slightly open crack poured the hot air from the shower. However, it was unlocked, so there probably wasn't anyone taking a shower. After letting a dumbfounded expression rise to her face, Erika slammed into the door with her whole body, knocking it open. Yeah? What? As soon as she opened the door, a hot blast poured out on her. Erika froze, unable to understand what had happened. After falling backwards on the bed, she realized that boiling hot shower water was pouring out at her and hard. What is this? What a crazy prank. Cursing, Erika rubbed the blankets from the bed around herself and tried to enter the bathroom once more. This time she was able to figure out what was going on. It was quite an elaborate prank. A wire fixed the shower nozzle in place so that it pointed at the entrance. The pressure and height into it turned up to the max. That anyone who went through the door would be met with a wave of hot water. The pressure was very strong, which probably accounted from the weight she had felt while trying to push the door open. He tried to make the nozzle point in another direction, but not only was it fixed in place by the wire, it was also fixed in place high enough that Erika couldn't reach it with her height. He tried to turn off the pressure, but it was also held in place by wires. She couldn't manage anything with her bare hands. She would have to get a tool that could cut the wires. However, when she looked into the bathtub, which was overflowing with very, very hot water, she saw a bundle of wires and some nipper that had been used to cut them lying at the bottom. If she used that, she could turn off the pressure. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Damn you! The blanket she had used to protect herself from the shower was getting more and more drenched with boiling hot water. At this rate, she'd get burned even through the blanket. She needed to turn the water off quickly. Right next to the bathtub, she saw a hanging long-handled body brush. Perfect. Erika used that to skillfully scrape the nippers off of the bottom of the tub. Fortunately, it was a shallow Western-style bathtub. If it had been a deep Japanese one, it would probably have burned her badly. Making sure not to touch the hot metal parts, she carefully took the nippers and cut the wires around the faucet. Take that and that. She finally managed to turn the hot water faucet and the heat from the hot water storm died down. For a while, Erika was forced to cool her, almost a burnt tongue in the running water. What a calamity. Would you like a bath? I can't wash your face with this brush. I appreciate the sentiment, but no. Oh, that's a shame. Erika had finally regained enough of her composure to be abusive. She turned off the faucet completely and silence returned to the bathroom. After that, all that remained was Erika heavy breathing. She turned on the fan to get rid of the hot stream. She had to leave the bathroom until that was finished. It was pleasant, like stepping into an air-conditioned room on a hot summer's day. It was a ridiculous trap. However, that wasn't here at the time I examined Butler Corpse. Therefore, the appearance of this trap proved that my butler was alive. Well, I never thought he was dead anyway. So I decided to openly show a card that has already been exposed. I checked the inside of the bathroom. Was Butler seen? No. No one was seen in the bathroom. Good. Now we've confirmed that. Except from one location, Butler does not exist anywhere inside the guest room. Give that a rest. Just where is that one exception? A coffin. Who showed him a butler's coffin, that is? Ashes to ashes, the death to their coffins. You plan to trap me in this room, right? Okay, let's have it. The silence that was complete except for the rain was suddenly filled with the smell of gunpowder. So it was extremely quiet. The room was full of tension. I saw you'd be sliced in half if you relaxed it for an instant. A cloud of gold butterflies gathered into the room round table and turned into a witch's chessboard. It was finally time for her attack. Blue Truth, you did not vanish from this room. You just hid yourself to make it seem as though you disappeared from a closed room. The place you are hiding is the one exception that I haven't investigated yet. As Erika lightly raised her right hand, a single gold butterfly appeared from the darkness behind her, fitted between the index finger and middle finger of Erika's right hand and became a white piece. Then she lifted it high into the air. It is the one exception, the walk-in closet next to the entrance. Like a falling white lightning bolt, the white piece hit the board, landing by a weak spot in Butler's formation. Yes, it is here. With a crash, the door of the closet, which was just off for the side of the guest room entrance, was impaled by the spear that represented the Blue Truth. Lanor had turned around and thrown it. The door was completely pierced, and the spear stuck in so deeply that if a human had been hiding it, it would have pierced the chest as well. Its still quivering handle was a testament to the force with which it had been thrown. There are no places in which to hide other than this. There are no hiding in here. What do you say, Butler-san? Have you been struck to the chest for a little smothered mate? Butler-san, it's our move now. Yeah, it's all been like that, Erika. You intentionally left one spot open so you could stuff me into that coffin. It's the same move that trapped Kindle in Natsui's room. I saw it coming. Oh, did you? Then let's see your response. Well, let me make a prediction. Let's hear it. I'll checkmate you 2 moves from now. That's my prediction. Then I'll make the same prediction. I'll checkmate you in 2 moves. La bataille de fou. Alors qu'il y a Zudon dans le chapitre 1. Sounds interesting. Just prediction contract each other. Who will be the liar, I wonder? Ça, c'est de la musique, hein. The air burst and sparkled. The silence would hurt one's skin. Then go. It is your turn. It's useless. Your lovely coffin won't be able to trap Battleson. Here's my response. Solid Battler moves his hand over the chessboard. A gold butterfly that had appeared from the darkness rested in Battler's finger and became a black piece. That black piece was the king, which represented Battler. It is my response. So your Battler is hiding in that closet. Take this. Luckily, my Battler does not exist within the guest room. There are no exceptions, including the closets. Like a black bolt of lightning this time, Battler slammed this piece down on the white piece of Erika's that cut deep behind his lines, crushing hers. It scatters like a golden spray and metal beautiful into the darkness as a faint cloud of gold sparks drifted about. I see, so he hid in the closet at first, and then slipped out of the room where Erika was occupied by the shower. It's the same technique he used to let Kinzo escape from the studio in the last game. Distract the observation of the observer and disappear into the darkness. Good. Of course, yes of course. I had already foreseen that move. Next was Erika's turn. A gold butterfly popped into existence in front of Erika and she grabbed it right out of the air. She then lifted that hand into the air and raised the white piece high. Then let me announce a retroactive move. This occurs back in the very beginning, right after I broke the seals and entered this room. At that time I immediately closed the door, reset the chain and sealed this room. Objection. Goda severed the chain back when the crime was first discovered. Since the chain lock is not functioning, it is impossible to use it to create a seal. Objection overruled. We can repair the chain lock. See? Impossible. How could she have repaired a brass chain? It was possible. Have you forgotten, Beto? The packing tape seals. Erika used that packing tape to join the two cut ends of the chain together, sealing them. In other words, the chain was repaired by the packing tape and this room once again became a closed room locked from the inside. Oh putain, c'est la fin des temps. Oh, ils se sont fait niquer, mais comme des bleus. La musique est folle encore, hein. Objection. Erika-san has already used the packing tape seal, doesn't she? She shouldn't be able to use them anymore. Objection overruled. The use of the packing tape wasn't limited by the number of strips, right? It was by the number of rooms. The only restriction was to limit it to the only 3 rooms. Erika chose this guest room to be one of those rooms. So Erika has the right to seal as many places as many times as she wants within this room. That's right. I give her permission to do that. It's the cost of your pride. Sympathy is the evil liquor that Product most fond of. So with that retroactive move, I proclaimed that the chain lock had been repaired by the packing tape seal and has regained its original functionality. And thanks to that, I locked the room. Upon entering it and make this guest room a closed room from the inside once more. The white piece Erika held aloft represented the seal caused by the chain lock. This move would draw out Battler's king and drag it to the guillotine. Die, Battler. The piece for the chain lock was slammed down right at Battler's king's throat. Repeat it. The lock created by the chain is currently intact. Battler's face contorted. La musique est trop bien. Heto was watching from behind, grimaced even more. This move was very painful. If his logic had him hiding in the closet until Erika left, using the uproar in the bathroom to escape, then the chain lock must have been undone. In other words, he couldn't respond to our demands. If he didn't respond, Erika will use the Bluetooth in her next move. She would probably say you hid in the closet, then use the disturbance in the bathroom to escape. Since you then pulled and set the chain lock from the outside, you left them down. And she would be right. This was checkmate. C'est la fin des temps. C'est tellement la fin. As Erika had predicted, she would strike the finishing blow on the second move. And on top of that, she would probably use the disappearing battler to solve most of the crime that was to follow. Losing the battle in this closed room would steal a major deciding piece from Butler. Or what if he responded to her demand? What if he could say the lock created by the chain is still intact? That would be fatal to Erika. It had already been shown within the directors that his guest room could only be made into a closed room from the inside. So this hopeless closed room will instead become Erika's coffin. With a riddle of that magnitude, Erika probably wouldn't solve the mystery of Butler's disappearance before the end. Each unsolved riddles give an advantage to which side. Butler wanted to respond to this demand if at all possible. However, if he responded, if he answered by saying that the chain was still set, he would have to abandon the logic saying that she had escaped while Erika wasn't looking. Once she escaped, he wouldn't be able to set the chain lock again. It would make a riddle to corner Erika, but he would have to consider a different escape method. Even a move such as him leaving the closet during the scene in the bathroom and hiding in another place, say under the bed, wouldn't work because he had proclaimed that Butler doesn't exist within the guest room. If he could construct logic that allows him to escape from here while preserving the chain lock's position, then Erika will be the one facing a fatal blow. However, if he didn't have that logic, if he failed, it would be a logic error. The worst and lowest forbidden move that will instantly end the game in his defeat. He will have no way to recover. For Butler, deciding how to respond to this demand was a very advanced and difficult decision. Either way, Erika will probably corner him. In that case, my choice is obvious. Butler-san, this guest room has always been restricted in many ways by the rectors due to its closed room and nature. How do you plan on escaping from this? If only I could do something about the chain lock. If only. If he could somehow get around the chain lock, he could force Erika to deal with a terrible closed room. He would probably end up as a finishing blow to her. But in order to do that, he will need to make a trick for escaping the closed room that existed before Erika came back, which was now the closed room sealed by the chain that Erika set after entering the room. And on top of that, he had to make sure that the chain that could only be set from the inside remained in place. If he could do that, if he could find a way, then it will end here. But I still can't think of that trick. Right now, Erika is demanding to know whether the chain lock is still set or not. I need to decide whether I'll take the challenge or back down, and I need to do it right now. If I can't find a certain way trick, then this is the end. But if I don't have that trick, I should just acknowledge that I slipped out of the closet and did the chain and escaped, backing out of the fight. If I say the chain was set without the trick up my sleeve, then it's impossible for me to escape. In other words, it's a logic error. Even if we lose the fight in this room, there will still be chances left to us. We've still only started the second day, haven't we? We have plenty of time to reconstruct an impossible murder. Well, that's not good. Qu'est-ce qui nous fait Butler? If I acknowledge that I've escaped from this room now, it's the same as acknowledging that I'm a culprit. If I back down from the fight in this room, at the time accepting my defeat in this game. Butler's point was a valid one. Since all of the other human was still locked in the guest house. And if Butler were almost alive and free to move, Erika would probably base her explanation for all the following impossible crimes on the blue truth that Butler was a perpetrator. If they wanted to forcefully turn that around, they would have to rewrite their tricks and logic so that someone other than Butler would be set up as a perpetrator. If they fix up one flaw, it will give the rise to new flaws, which might eventually pile up and kill Butler, even running away while maintaining the noose around his own throat. The first truth that Butler is a culprit has already been hit upon, and if I have to struggle desperately to get out of this, I'm on the edge. I don't have been cornered in a dangerous spot. However, if I can just change my position, everything might turn around at once. If I can just make the chain my weapon, I can kill Erika. Quite direct trick going to respond to her demand? Is there any way to escape without undoing the chain lock? There isn't. If you respond, you'll lose instantly from the logic error at the end. It's clear which choice we have to make. Yeah, it's clear. No matter what move we choose, it's on for the worst just as Erika wants. If it's horrible either way, I'd like to choose the move that has the biggest reward if we win. Going to call events so you have no logic for escaping in no trump cards? Think you can accept our demand and win? That card might be useless. However, with just one more card, that might become a straight, a flush, however no royal flush. If hell waits for me after both options, I take the one that's a finisher off if I win. That's an insane move. Sometimes madmen leap into the path of death and so miracles occur. It's impossible. How could you escape this closed room without removing the chain? There's only one difference between heroes and madmen. It's whether they win or lose. I'll be looking forward to a big victory. If I can finish things with this move, then as I predicted, I can kill Eric on my second move. I still can't think of a trick for escaping this closed room. However, there has to be something there has to. Once I think of that, I can make a magic illusion of me changing into a butterfly and slipping out of the crack in the door like smoke. If I have enough of the drop of that magician's blood in my veins, please let that honor give me just a fragment of a miracle right now. Qu'est-ce qu'il est dans la merde là? La musique est incroyable. So, Battle-san, let's have that second move that you predicted you checkmate me on. Please give an answer to Lady Erika's demand. Will you respond or will you refuse? Slowly, Butler's hand stretched out at his king piece on the board. He lifted it up and, slowly, held it aloft, tracing a large circle in the sky. Would Butler respond or wouldn't he? Would the lock caused by the chain be preserved or wouldn't it? Would Butler's king crush the pieces of the chain lock that stood right in front of it? Or would it slip away like a ghost and escape? This is my response. As predicted on this second turn of mine, you throw. Here it comes, Frodo. Erika! Albus King had become a black lightning bolt that crashed down onto the board. Whoa. Where had it gone? Oh pétard. Jamais entendu cette musique, je crois. Comme celle d'avant, en fait. Incroyable. On top of the piece of the chain lock? Or past that piece? I will repeat it. The lock caused by the chain is intact. Battle King has left the chain lock piece in place and had slipped past him. Yeah, it sure would be cool if you could say that in the chain lock was still so cool in it. Don't think that's a bit cool. Actually, you know what they call a fool who'd fool himself and jumped into the pass up there just because it's cool? No clue. You sure me a battler? That's what we call damn! I file motion for a logic error. La bataille est folle. Par contre, c'est quoi cette musique de zinzin? Je l'ai jamais entendue, genre. Enfin, je crois. Incroyable la musique. I found motion for logic error. That virtuous of yours is just not scared of your own logic. Please have the impartial referee make her judgments immediately. Likely Lambda Delta. Motion received. Lambda Delta. Does it make logical sense? Your inspection, please. Motion received. Battler, show me. Let me see your cards. Atlas Sun. It is a royal flush, right? If you've got nothing, you won't get out of this with just a story, okay? Yeah, I have no intention of apologizing. If it's a logic error, the game board will be blown away. You've inherited this game board from Beato. It's the one thing you have left from that precious Beato, so you must not allow for a logic error. Logic error only becomes established when the witch admits to it. As long as they can keep thinking of a new logic to escape with, they will not die, cannot die. However, that would be like living in an endless living hell of the mind. La musique est dingue! What the fuck? Even if you manage to crawl around forever after falling into the darkness of the... you'll just be eternally trapped in a hell where you can never think of a way to escape that cloakroom while refusing to accept your logic error. Are you sure? Are you sure? This is nearly as bad as the depth of oblivion, got it? It's like the difference between falling from the roof of a 10-story building and falling from the roof of a 100-story building. Lambda, Battle has already finished making his move. Player can't take back a move once it's made. Act as an impartial judge, carry out a motion, and see whether or not Battle escape from the cloakroom is logical, and whether there has been a logic error or not. Be slow, accurate, and meticulous like an archaeologist. And be as fast as a guy at an ice cream shop when he's frustrated and skillfully scoops out that sweet fragrant vanilla soy sauce ice cream. Yes, I know that. Battler, let me see it. Atlas-san. Eto, do you think I lose? I don't want to think that. After fighting with the whole me many times, you finally reached the miracle that I so wanted you to find. So I'd like to believe that you went through a miracle once again. This woman called Beatrice, the whole time, she felt in the same border between reason and madness. She felt with a mixture of sadness, anger, and several other emotions from me that can't be described with words. In the very last game, at the very last moment, she managed to seize victory. That might have been the purpose of the card Beato had been gripping as she fell. Beato passed away without realizing that she had won. In the final game, the true victor was Beato. Cette musique est dingue, juste, hein. Elle est juste dingue, hein. Je suis soufflé, genre. J'irai chercher la musique après. Beato entrusted me with this game board, so I win. So I need at least you to believe in me. Beatrice, I believe in the miracle occurs. Please, I too believe in you. Atlas-san, this is pissing me off. Please just check it already, Lady Lambda Delta. There is no fine logic. There doesn't exist any way to get out of this cloud room. You are over-eager, Atlas-san. If I could win with this, that'd be cool. If you just vanished even though the chain still said that make you so awesome, so cool, so mysterious, hold me. Like hell you can. Like hell you can do it. If you could do that, you will be a witch. If you could vanish your way out of this cloud room like a puff of smoke, I have to acknowledge it. It'd be the work of a witch. Quiet, Lady Erika. Lady Lambda Delta is conducting a inspection. Quelle musique de zinzin mental. Pass through, one move, go back, and corner. With sweat gathering on her forehead, Lambda Delta inspected the movement of the pieces from Battle's side. She was as accurate and meticulous as an archaeologist, just as Ben Castle has told her to be. After gulping stiffly, Lambda looked several times between the formation of the pieces on the board and Battle's face, which remained tense but steady. Oh, yo, ma termine. Je pensais pas que t'étais là. Ça va? Infant Queen Bee, bah elle est exceptionnelle celle-là. Elle est monumentale. On finit les chapitres 6 demain du coup, bien sûr. Mais j'ai pas pu lancer beaucoup aujourd'hui, du coup je me suis rattrapé un peu cette nuit. On finit demain soir, bien sûr. Which remain tense but steady. Lambda? I have finished my inspection. There's no way that logic works. Please, God. Erika? What? I'm so sorry. Which am I supposed to take that? It was fun. Now this is the end. I told you which way I'm supposed to take that. Silence. I've finished inspecting Battle's move. My decision is that... it's valid. Oh. Comment? Comment? valid. Mais il a pas perdu du tout, du coup, en fait. You're lying. I judge it to be valid. Harry's presented logic that doesn't violate any of the red truths, and I finished checking it. Moved by the player on the witch side, along with that final red truths we repeated, are valid. Butler, for the first time I've got to say I think you're incredible. See? I knew game, a miracle will always occur if you believe. Atlas-san, I'm sorry. If only I had believed more strongly, he would have been cornered like this. Cette musique, c'est le leitmotiv de... La musique Omedeto, là. Je sais pas comment elle s'appelle. C'est le même leitmotiv. Un peu. Mato flew onto Battle's chest, sobbing. Erika staggered backward, shaking her head back and forth dizzily. And Broncastle? Her face was like an expressionless mask. Then slowly it became a smile, and for some reason it seemed a sign of some horrible emotion. Well done. To think that you escaped the room without removing the chain, simply splendid. With her small hands, Lano slowly started to upload quietly. She was followed by Gertrude and then Cornelia. En vrai, c'est incroyable, je sais pas comment il a fait. Hein. And then by Beato and Lambda Delta too. Applause filled the room. Knuckle de HXH, il ressemble à quoi Knuckle de HXH? Ah oui, lui. Ouais, il a un mood Josuke de la partie 4 un peu. J'avais oublié qu'il avait cette tronche. Bah il a la coupe de Josuke en fait. Oni-chan, how did you... I see. Yes, a move that cannot be seen by one who thought a trap was in the closed room. Impossible. Impossible. As Lambda Delta watched Erika was breathing hard, shocked and dizzy with a despair she couldn't accept. She had to take her hat off to the swiftness of Battler heart and intellect, and to the power of this miracle. Incredible, Shiromiya Battler. It's my complete loss for thinking that your power and battles would cancel each other out and bring an eternal draw. And Byrne, who thought everything would move according to her plan, even so she already knew your true strengths, also suffered a complete loss. Byrne is the witch who waits for miracles. Or the witch who summons miracles. If you are not Byrne's piece, just know, without a doubt, you have surpassed Byrne. You really did, in this one moment. Think up a trick by which to escape from this closed room. Moi j'ai une théorie, je mets les lunettes. Elles sont où? Putain, elles sont dans mon sac, je crois. Mes lunettes. C'est pas grave, on va faire la théorie sans les lunettes au pire. Je la trouve plus. Je pense qu'il s'est vraiment échappé par le trou de la baignoire. Là. Il s'est mis en petits morceaux, il s'est enfui par le trou de la baignoire. Tu vas reprendre HXH? Bah... Bon, bon HXH à toi, Spipers, écoute. During the disturbance in the bathroom, he had snuck around the door. Erika had guessed this much. That's why they're... C'est trop bien avec HXH, hein, tu vas te régaler. That's why they retroactively set the chain lock and sealed it to prevent Butler from doing this very thing. The chain lock cannot be reset from the outside, so it should have been impossible to escape from the closed room. However, Butler didn't let his thinking get trapped inside the closed room, and so he broke through. It doesn't matter who, but let's explain it with Mother, hein. Mother, hein. Ma théorie, hein. Mother, hein. Kyrie's Peace. Alors que Chimera Hunt, c'est peut-être le meilleur arc de HXH, même d'assez loin en fait. Il est trop bien Chimera Hunt. Bref, en tout cas, régale-toi. Just like Battler, the life or death statues of the rest of this first Twilight victims will not be specified by the Red Truth. In other words, just like Battler, the others in Carrie specifically can still move. And the closed room were not sealed, so they can go out as they please. Carrie had come to save him. Carrie followed behind Erika and waited in the hallway while the latter entered the guest room and sealed the door from the inside. Then after Butler undid the chain lock and escaped, she entered the room in his place. Then Carrie reset the chain lock from the inside and hid in the closet just like Butler had done. Yes, Butler truly isn't inside the guest room right now. However, that doesn't mean that no one else is inside it.
Mais attends, Kairi, elle est pas morte du coup par le trial des... C'était un piège de Butler en fait? Personne n'a tué personne?
Carrie took Butler's place in the closet, the one exception that Erika had left, and is there still. Carrie saved Butler. Ushurmia Carrie cannot save Butler. Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce cauchemar là? Hein? What do you mean? Ushurmia Carrie cannot save Butler. Why not? There's no red saying that Carrie can save Butler. Wait a second, how are you using the red truth? Valid. Lana's red truth is valid. Requesting permission to unsheath red key. Permission granted. Please do it, Lano. Oh. How can you give that permission? It's valid. As the result of an impartial judgment, I guarantee this red truth. Is it telling us your reason? We'll tell you that soon. Very soon. Butler hasn't proclaimed Carrie dead with the red truth yet. It's a lot for Carrie to be playing dead. And the backing tape has already been used on 3 rooms, making it impossible for you to steal Carrie's room. So how can you use the red truth to say that Carrie can save Butler? That red truth has no basis. I'll tell you its basis soon, but more importantly, Lambda, the logic with Carrie has ceased to function. You should probably find another piece to switch places with Butler, don't you think? Yes, there are still pieces that can save Butler. We don't through the logic. All we need is someone who can switch places with Butler.
C'est tellement tordu mais c'est incroyable. Mais c'est tordu mais c'est incroyable. Ok.
It doesn't have to be Carrie. Then let's switch into Natsui. For sure, Natsui switches places with Butler. Lana, do it. As you wish. Lana ran longsword, smashed Natsui's piece into little bits. How? How can Erika deny this logic without the detective's authority? Ushurmia Natsui cannot save Butler. Then Eva. Ushurmia Eva. Ushurmia Eva cannot save Butler. And Rosa, Maria. Useless. Rosa and Maria cannot save him either. Death, die to death, sentence to death. The great equalizer is death.
Wow.
Objection. Erika doesn't have the detective authority. How can she use any red except for the backing tape seals? Objection overruled. Not having the detective authority does not imply that one cannot use any red at all. There's something she can use, right? Yes, there is. There are several exceptions that even humans without detective authority can use. Insane. There is no way. Yes, there is none. However, there is a certain action permissible only to a human without the detective authority, and can become a truth of such overwhelming credibility that witches can easily raise it to the level of spread truth. A certain action permissible only to humans who aren't the detective? You don't mean, Erika, you... I've got it. Yes, if I'm right, this red truth is valid. I don't understand. What is some power that could only be used without the detective authority? There is just one. So you finally noticed. That's right. That's the only reason I abandoned the detective authority this time around. You told me I could make detective proclamation whenever I wanted, right? Well, unfortunately, I am no longer capable of making that proclamation. Which Knox scroll was it? Knox 7, it is forbidden for a detective to be the culprit. You mean... what? Finally Beatrice realized everything. Yes, the detective authority bestows several powers that are useful for reasoning, which eliminates one single privilege. Qu'est-ce qui se putain de passe? That is Knox 7. It's forbidden for the detective to be the culprit. In this game, it is impossible for humans without detective authority to examine corpses perfectly. So there have been several tricks where the dead have been faking and walking around when they please. You probably thought you could use that logic to create several impossible crimes after this. When I said that I wouldn't make the detective proclamation, somewhere on the inside you must have said, I've won. You phrased it by yourself. You gave me the packing tape sales, seemingly out of mercy. And that was because you planned to have all of the first Twilight victims survive, band together and carry out the crimes. So give me only 3 rooms worth, which will cover all 6 people. Which wouldn't cover all 6 people. No matter which room I sealed, at least one of your underlings could move freely. You must have been plotting to use that to corner me. But too bad. Your naivety really pisses me off. Stupid man. I admit it. I admit that I fell for your monkey show. And in my pride I tried to show you some mercy. That's right. Even with the detective authority, there is a way for humans to do it. A way to make sure that the corpse examination cannot fail. C'est-à-dire, the human lying in front of you, alive or dead? You can answer that question by examining the corpse. With just a quick glance, your chance of being right at 50-50 either way. Various bits of knowledge and experience can be used to obtain a more precise result. However, no matter how much you do that, while you can reach up to 99%, you can never reach 100% accuracy. That's what most people will think. However, there is one way to conduct a perfect examination. And that is to kill them. Oh. La pute. La pute. Oh. Ma termine, je me sens comme un chien en cage. J'ai le sang glacé aussi là. What the fuck, mec, j'ai même pas envie de continuer les phrases là. What the fuck. Non, là c'est très... C'est bien joué, hein, mais c'est d'un tordu, putain. There we go. Without the detective authority, I can't tell whether the victims are dead or faking. Attends, mais du coup, c'est la... Bah, de détective can't be the culprit. Ça nique sa propre règle. Non? Ah non, elle peut pas utiliser le décalogue. Du coup, elle peut pas correspondre à ça. Elle peut ne pas correspondre à ça. Vu qu'elle peut pas utiliser le décalogue. Oh, oh. Oh my god. Oh, c'est tellement tordu, mais c'est tellement bien joué, c'est tellement incroyable. Oh putain. I can't tell whether the victims are dead or faking, so I need a way to be sure. And if possible, it would be preferable if they were removed from the game board so that they couldn't make a mess of things later on. So I dashed through the chaos Phil mentioned, visited all the crime scenes, and I re-killed all of them. What on earth? Of course she couldn't just kill them however she liked. That would be a perfect way of killing, good enough that their deaths could be determined with the rare truth. I can make sure of that. The manner in which they were each killed differed, but afterwards she completely severed the heads of Holtig. That method of killing is solid enough to be called a virtuous, right, Lambda? Valid. No human could survive after having their heads sliced off. Could you have severed hold of those heads without getting any blood on you? For example, you could take a large trash bag from the kitchen and grab the knife through it. Then if you covered the entire corpse with a trash bag as you did your work, you'd block nearly all the blood splatter. Oh. Oh la 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 la. I used enough knives and bags for several people, then left them at the crime scene. Of course I didn't humiliate myself by walking around with them, leaving blood in the hallways and dirtying my clothes. I'll probably be trash bags that of the crime scene with my fingerprints on them. But since this game's end before the police come, that can be used as evidence. So there's no problem with leaving them here.
Elle est tellement folle, elle est tellement crazy. Oh. Définitivement la plus grosse pute all time, hein. Et Aika, hein.
Are you insane? What kind of mystery will allow something like that? I can't believe I'm hearing this from a witch on the fantasy side. Oh, and don't worry, I didn't kill you. I didn't have time to sever the head of the last one found, so I just sealed your whole room with the packing tape you gave me. Then again, that might have been because I knew this would happen and wanted to watch you struggle. Oh, that's right. Just as I can say that I killed them in red, I can say one more thing. Puerto Rico stopped for a second. And can she really be wearing an even uglier expression on everything before now? With that highest quality face she spoke.
Oh, oh, oh. Wow, 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 wow.
All 5 people I killed were very, very much alive until the moment I killed them. Everyone faithfully played dead as the best they could until the moment just before I killed them, okay? Marison was quite a little trooper. After all, even though her mother had already been killed in the same room, she kept on playing dead without even noticing. They are demons. Up until now, many witches and demons have appeared in this tale, but for the first time here are true demons. You bastards! You bastards! This time Beatrice understood the entire plot of this tale. This tale was just the story of a prank.
Comme le chapitre 3 finalement. Mais d'une manière tellement plus glaçante.
Surely someone had thought of playing a slightly harsh trick on this inconsiderate guest who loved to show off his intelligence and act the part of a great detective, and several people had agreed to go along with it. Then the ones who would play the victims will go into their dressing rooms, set the chain and the lock from the inside, and play dead to create a fake closed room murder. If you think about this that way, the room chosen for the corpses seems to make more sense.
Ah, c'est une folie mon frère, c'est une folie ce qui se passe. Yo GLF, il faut jouer à Umineko, c'est incroyable frère. C'est l'œuvre de ma vie peut-être, hein. No joke, c'est incroyable. Le jeu me stun tellement en fait. Faut y jouer. Faut vraiment y jouer.
Think about it that way. The rooms chosen for the corpses seem to make more sense. It is only natural for Natsui to die in her own room. If you're going to play dead, it's only natural that you...
Et là, JLF, tu dis ça, si t'entends que cette musique, dis-toi que c'est très loin d'être la meilleure celle-là. Hein. Il y a des monstruosités en termes de banger. Ça, c'est mid presque. J'exagère. Mais il y a tellement mieux, genre. Genre, bah, la musique qui est passée juste avant, en fait.
If you...
Ah, bah, si t'en connais quelques-unes, régale-toi. Mais joue au jeu. Même si t'aimes pas trop les VN, je peux que te conseiller de rentrer dans cette aventure de zinzin mental. Vraiment. Elle arrivera, ma termine. Ma termine, je l'ai dit à Lefaux dans son chat l'autre jour. Je me suis spoil une musique du chapitre 6 que j'ai pas encore entendue. Voilà. Enfin, je l'ai entendue sur YouTube en lecture automatique sans faire exprès. Et je me suis fait niquer comme ça, quoi. Le feu m'a dit que c'était pas très grave, mais c'est Birth of a New Witch, du coup. La musique est bien, en tout cas. La musique est exceptionnelle, mais du coup, bah, je me suis spoil sans faire exprès, quoi. Voilà. Et la musique est exceptionnelle, mais juste, bah, je l'ai pas entendu en jeu, et je me suis fait spoil la musique en lecture automatique. Comme un connard, quoi. Tout respect, ça m'intéresse pas d'y jouer, mais c'est même pas y jouer, JLF. C'est de la lecture, c'est un livre audio, enfin, c'est un livre... c'est un sound novel. Et c'est de la lecture. Il faut le lire, mec. C'est important, mec. Non, mais je comprends. Mais par contre... Par contre... Ok, tant pis. Mais continue d'écouter les musiques, parce que c'est quand même un sacré cru, Umineko. Hein. Donc continue d'écouter les musiques en tout cas. C'est quand même exceptionnel quoi. Voilà.
If you're going to play then, it's only natural that you'd want to lie down on your own bed. Eva's vanity is strong, so she must have asked to die in the VIP room. Hair was in cross duty. It was very well air conditioned and comfortable. Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. A soft sofa should have been a great place to play dead. Maria has done her best and had impressively acted the powers of lying dead alongside the wall. Butler was in the guest room. Temperature here was also nice. The bed must also have been fairly pleasant.
Bah non. On l'a vu comment il était dans la guest room, il était pas content. Hein. Par contre, ça n'explique pas le trial de l'amour du coup. Ça n'explique pas le trial de l'amour, ils ont tué personne en fait.
Yes, the victims for the first twilight all died in comfortable rooms. In the past games, the corpses had often been found exposed in the courtyard or under the rose garden arbor, in the cold gardening shed or in the boiler room. This time there was no victims in any such inhospitable environment. This is probably the truth. It is the story of a prank with no one dead from the beginning, and then this demon turned it into a real murder case.
C'est Erika qui a changé ça en meurtre, ouais. Ah, c'est incroyable, mais c'est... Wow. C'est fou, c'est dingue, c'est dingue.
You do have the right to speak ill of Lady Erika. However, right now you also have the obligation of showing a new logic that doesn't lead to any contradictions. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Corpses to corpses. Hey, Patler-san, let's continue the game. This presents a different human to switch places with you. If you don't, your trick will become a logic error. There's no one who can come to the rescue. Rick has killed all of them. Damn it. Patler-san, please calm yourself. Now's the time to hold back your tears and fight. Even if you've lost 5 pieces, we can save you. There are still the 11 people in the guest house. You're right. Cross, Yuichi, Rudolph, George, Jessica, Shannon, Cannon, Genji, Goda, Kumasawa, Nanjo. It doesn't matter who, as long as someone come here. Somebody help. But it's no use. Please look at this, Gertrude Cornelia. Let it be known that we are here and ready. What, Sean?
Ah, c'est... Elle est complètement hystérique.
What, Sean? Please look at this. What are these? Erika was not so excited that her pronunciation was stumbling all over the place, pointing at 2 doors. It was the hallway of the second floor of the guest house. They were in front of the cousin room in the next room over. Look, here, there's something attached to the door. What is it? Hey, what is it, Gertrude? No, this is the packing tape seal of the cousin room. Oh yeah, very good. One more. What about this door? No, this is the packing tape seal of the next room over. Oh, very good. Okay, you two. Why don't you show everyone watching at home on their TVs? Please have a look at the backing tape seals on both doors. So what do you think of them? Are they broken or aren't they? Please let us have the red truth. Please allow me to speak. No, neither is broken. Now, if an unbroken scene proves that there are still none who have entered or exited. It is no second telling, but know that entry or exit without breaking the seal is impossible. Good. Butler, is it all as you see? There's no longer exists anyone who can save you. The victims of the first twilight have all been killed, and the guest house is still sealed. No one can come to the rescue. Erika has guessed that this moment might come so long ago. and it was why she had made the strategic move, suddenly seeing those 2 rooms. His answer to doubt Connery had felt at the time. Wondering why the human-side pair wouldn't want as many pre-humans as possible was a natural, simple reaction to that move. However, if you sealed up all humans, there would be no room for magic to intervene. Why is magic magic? Because the people who see it say that it's magic. Then it's possible for magic to exist in a place with no people? Does the lack of anti-magic toxin mean that there's no problem? Wrong. Magic in a place like this isn't being witnessed, it's no different from a delusion, a daydream.
Ça veut aussi dire que dans les 4 premiers chapitres, même jusqu'au 5e, il y a pu avoir des moments où les gens n'étaient pas vraiment morts en fait. Malgré les Red Truths, malgré... avec plein de petits tricks comme ça, c'est vraiment possible en fait. Ça veut dire que potentiellement, il y a des gens qui étaient morts, qui n'étaient pas morts, même dans les premiers chapitres en fait.
Magic that matches the result must be carried out by human hands. If all humans are sealed off, then magic cannot be created. This was Erika's strategy for this game and her beautiful checkmate. Well now, who's going to come save you? Please tell me the identity of the real person who switched your place with you. Remain in the guest room in your place, and set the chain lock from the inside, if they even exist. Okay, Butler, the logic has been interrupted. Who could have come to save you? You are now in the middle of a logic error. Wait, I'm still thinking. Butler, you have 2 options and 1 duty. The first option is to build a new thread of logic to reconstruct your closed room trick. Second is to come clean and admit to your logic error, and you're obligated to choose one of these options. It is merciful. There's no restriction of the amount of the time you have to make that choice. That's right, your time is endless, eternal. I'm sure there's still some way, some twisted logic that can get you out of this. Anyway, I'm sure there's still some way. I'm thinking about it. What about you, Beato? Let me know if you find anything. I'm sure the old Beato could have managed something. She built up several closed rooms like this.
Est-ce que toutes les closed rooms depuis le début, c'est juste des gens qui sont pas morts en fait? Mais en fait, c'est juste ça, hein. C'est dingue, hein. C'est dingue, tout vole en éclats.
Beato felt awful. Why was she Beato and yet not? Surely the holder would have solved up the trick under these restrictions. If only she could do that, she could guide Butler to victory, but she couldn't do as a current self.
Bah, pas vraiment un prank, mais disons que les closed rooms en tout cas, oui quoi. Il n'y a jamais de mort en fait. En fait, c'est ça le vrai truc, le vrai trick du jeu, genre. Parce que les Red Truths peuvent être... on voit qu'elles peuvent être contournées... malgré tout, quoi, donc... Tout le jeu n'est qu'un prank. Enfin, toutes les games de Beato n'étaient que des pranks, comme on le voit très bien au chapitre 3, c'est là où c'est le plus visible. Mais au final, est-ce que toutes les autres games n'en sont pas aussi? Je pense que oui, hein.
Yeah, I'm sure it's using of a good trick. Eventually, surely, probably, maybe. Pretty sure it's impossible though. So then, Butler, let's go back to the guest room. From now on, that will be your world. Once again, they return to the slightly chilly guest room. It was the same room as before, of course, but it felt as though an unsettling darkness had crept in. Here is the room you spend your day in from now on. You just need to escape from this room by any means you want. However, there are conditions. As I believe you know, there's one thing you force on yourself. First, this room is a closed room created from the inside. This isn't the window or entire, so there can be no escape through there. Of course, there is no way to escape by leaving through the bathroom. I make it simple. There is no exit to escape from except from this door. However, the chain lock on this door is set. You can unset and reset it all you want, but you can only do so from the inside. Furthermore, you are free to go out through the door, but you cannot leave or escape with the chain lock isn't set.
C'est la fin, hein. C'est vraiment la fin là.
You have to show that you can escape from this room with the chain lock still connected. But you couldn't possibly do it. You made this closed room yourself.
C'est ce qu'il disait au début du chapitre. Tu t'es enfermé dans ta propre closed room, c'est de ta faute, genre. C'est ce qu'il disait au début du chap. C'est de... Ouais, bah c'est ça, du coup.
We have arranged for just one exit out of the door. That's one in the bathroom. My merciful master had given you a last way out if you ever think of anything to escape. Please listen up. We're not a guided outlet to the bathroom. It was just a normal bathroom. Set up that stopper as Erika to buy time was no longer working. However, the bundle of wire and the nippers that had been used to prepare the trap still lay in the empty bathtub. Are you saying that I can use this to escape? Yes, please feel free. It's a present. However, no matter what you use, you can't lock the room from the outside. And you can't pull the seal either, okay? These tools aren't here to help you pull some trick with a chain lock. They're here to let you escape from this room in a more direct way. Oh, I'm supposed to use these. Not bad, Baron. I see that your mind's as grotesque as ever. There's an exit that is directly outside from this bathroom. Can you find it? You don't mean... Did you figure it out, Beato? Please tell me. That's impossible. Please, where it is, tell me. We can't let the game end like this. There... Where? Under the bathtub? Can't you see it? There's a round hole that leads straight out of this room. It's a bit small though.
C'est ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure. C'est ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure. Sans faire exprès, bien sûr, c'était un peu grotesque, mais j'ai dit tout à l'heure.
It's a bit small though. You people. It's a drain right there at the bottom of the bathtub. You can get out through there without touching the chain lock, but your body's a bit too big to get through these exits. That's why I decided to lend you those tools there. You can escape through the drain? Oh, she couldn't mean using those nippers for 100 years to widen that hole, right? Butler and Beato had already realized. They had figured out this demonic way out of that demon was proposing. Just use those nippers and get your body down to a side that can fit.
Ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure. C'est horrible.
Might as well sit back in the tub under a hot shower. As you start from your feet going up, chip then wash. Just keep doing that and oh, what do you know? You've suddenly managed to escape from the closed room. Oh, what do you know is right, my master. Looks like both siblings are gonna end up the same way.
C'est horrible. Quelle grosse pute, je la déteste. Horrible de dire ça, sale connasse de merde, va.
But Burn, from that way the hand holding the nippers will be left. That's why we have the wire. Beforehand, Butler we had to wrap the wire around his wrist, then thread the other end out and out in the corridor through the crack in the door. You should be able to fit just a wrist through the crack left by the chain lock. If you're willing to do that, we'd be happy to pull that wire from the hallway and save you. Hi master, if you do that I want it. Butler wrist. And what would you use that for? No, I've already decided to use it as a back scratcher. When the time comes, I'll scratch you back with it. What do you say? Yes, my master. Master is going to scratch my back with Butler's hand.
C'est Kira Yoshikage là. C'est littéralement Kira Tier là. C'est rien d'autre.
Finding them annoying? Irritating? Obnoxious? Don't worry, it gets quiet really soon. Won't noise to disturb your thought. Will not disappear for all eternity until you can escape from this room. That's a relief. I'm glad of the quiet. Here's some advice from a survivor of hell. Enjoy this noise while you can. Even the annoying insult you're in now will bring you fond memories to preserve your sanity amidst the eternal silence. Do you hate Bern and Erika? Then there's a parting gift to you. As long as you have hatred, you'll be able to avoid giving up. Giving up has completely different meaning here, okay? Prepare yourself where you can. For the eternity of the hell you've been when you've given up, but still can't escape. Did you just call yourself a survivor? Then you also... You know, every once in a while, that terror comes back to me. I wonder whether I really have escaped from that hell. What if I actually lost my mind a long time ago, and I'm still in there, just seeing a delusion of us all chatting happily like this. And nightmare still terrifies me, and so I need to constantly truly feel that this isn't a dream. Are you guys really real? You aren't just insane delusion I'm moving inside that hell, right? Right? There was something in Lambda's pleasing expression that then shivers down the spine. It is probably more terrifying than any threatening words she could have used with even the most vile expression on her face. It's time for Butler to realize. A logic error isn't so sympathetic that you can just stick out your tongue, ask for forgiveness and say you'll be more careful next time. It is never worth risking one by leaving things up to chance, even if you feel that you can't back down at this point in the fight. It's time for him to face reality and learn the true risk and terror implied by the words betting one's life on fight, which must sound so exciting for a man. Son, get a hold of yourself. I think deeply upon it as well. I think of a trick to escape this room with all I've got. I will come to save you. Beato.
Est-ce que c'est pas ça? Je vois des trucs là, je vois des trucs qui me disent, qui me font cling cling dans la tête là. Est-ce que les scènes qu'on a eues dans la chambre pendant la partie du game board, est-ce que c'était le battler qui là va souffrir pour essayer de s'échapper et en fait c'était teasé, ou est-ce que c'était le battler pièce du coup? On ne sait pas.
I'll think of something, just watch. Well, regretfully, it's time for us to leave. We mustn't get in the way of his job any longer. See you later, Atlas-san. Oh, like you'd say it, see you again, right? Have a nice day. Later, Battler. Good luck. Atlas-san, don't give up. I'm still trying to think of a trick. I think as well, and I'll come to save you. Batter? Before he could finish saying Bato's name, they had all disappeared. They hadn't disappeared in a golden spiral, turned into butterflies and flown away. Just as I thought there had never been anyone in this room since the beginning. Everyone but him has vanished in an instant. Nothing remained, not their voices, their presence, their warmth, nor even the faint perfume Beato has worn. The frigid air of the room was wrapped only in the lonely sound of the wind and rain. With that overpowering feeling of isolation, I finally began to realize how horrible a punishment this will be. Damn those bastards. Can't be that hard to get out of a room like this. I mean, rooms are made so that people can go in and out of them, right? If they can't do that, we wouldn't call it a room. How pointless. It's easy to undo the lock and change from the inside. Damn it, for some reason.
En fait, c'est ça, les scènes qu'on a eues avant, c'était vraiment ce battler-là. Il est genre enchaîné à la room, comme quand il a essayé de sortir, en fait. Il est enchaîné à la room, en fait. C'est vraiment juste les scènes qu'on a eues. Mais c'était un foreshadowing. Pendant que je pensais que c'était le battler pièce, c'était le battler en méta, en fait.
Damn it, for some reason I will be clumsy and undoing chain lock will give me trouble. Oh, it's off. Hehe, oh, pointless. Look, I can already open the door whenever I want. Hey, what's this cold feeling on my neck? What the hell is this? Why is there suddenly this iron collar around my neck? Ouais, c'est ça. C'est ça, du coup.
Très très intelligent, putain. Oh. Je pensais que c'était le battler pièce, moi. Qui était dans cette pièce au début. Mais en fait, c'était bien le battler méta et c'était juste un foreshadowing, genre. Ah putain, incroyable. Putain, je suis dévasté, genre.
Damn it, we'll do something like that. When I reset the chain lock, it disappears. And when I take it off, it appears. The chain's pretty long, so I can make it pretty far out into the hallway. But he won't let go of the door. Then if I close the door, then on the outside and stick my hands through the crack, maybe I can figure out how to set the chain. Why I've always been so clumsy. I'm not really clumsy, just that me and chain locks don't go well together. Damn it, I hate chain locks. I hate chains. Why won't it work? Why can't I set the chain lock from the outside? Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Je me demande si c'est pas un bon moment pour arrêter et reprendre demain. En fait, je sais pas. Je peux peut-être continuer un peu. Jusqu'à ce qu'il y ait un cling. Je sais pas. Je sais pas. Est-ce qu'il va y avoir un cling? C'est ça la question. Est-ce qu'il vaut pas mieux s'arrêter là et comme ça je finis demain en bonne et due forme? Je peux continuer un petit peu et voir. Peut-être en vrai. Écoute, je continue un petit peu. Et puis si on change de POV, j'arrêterai. Et demain on finit d'une traite en beauté quoi. Listen, hang in there, hang in there. Can't get out. Lazo called out to Butler repeatedly, shaking his shoulder hard, but by now Butler's eyes were blank. The words didn't reach him. Berncastle and Erica had already left. The game was officially suspended until Butler could think of a new tree. But it was doubtful that it would be resumed even after 1,000 years or more. Est-ce que c'est pas ça le... J'ai des trucs qui me viennent en tête là. Est-ce que Béatrice va prendre les choses en main là maintenant, pendant 1000 ans, en espérant un miracle pour ne pas revenir à ce point-là? Mais en fait, il n'est pas arrivé quoi. Bon, je penserai à mes théories plus tard. Okay, I'm heading off too. So long, you two. There's no need to say so long. We'll think of a trick right away and the game will resume. We won't take up your time. So stay here a little longer, please. We've heard those same words from many witches in the past, and I've heard of hardly any who actually managed to resume their games. As far as I know, the only two are me and Bern. Why would a person who knows about that hell throw another person into it? Just because you're bored? Is that all? Yeah, that's all. It's to escape from boredom. Because when we get bored, we remember. Remember that hell, and you know, by throwing someone else down into that hell, we realize that, oh, we're the ones on the throwing side, and that means we aren't in that hell ourselves. If we don't keep doing that, then the fear of that hell will overwhelm us. If you two manage to get out of it, then he certainly will. I will save him. I can't say it with certainty. With certainty? You swear with certainty before me, and I'm the Delta, the Witch of Certainty. Yes, with certainty. Very well. I was the guardian for the former you anyway. But the current you is different. I'll take care of you one last time. I'll give you a parting gift. And what is that? Hope. As long as you hold on to your certainty, your wishes will definitely come true. Are you listening? The old you was the endless witch Beatrice. I used to love detective novels that depicted impossible crimes. And you used those to make the claim that a witch existed, to make many people believe in magic, as one step on your path to becoming a witch. Detective novels. That's right, the old you was an avid reader. You loved detective novels, loved closed rooms murders, and were a super expert on impossible crimes. You searched for and found several closed room tricks, found the single most basic element to all of them, and used that to form the core of your magical compendium. Didn't Butler tell you? He said that the old you will definitely have to a way out of this predicament. I agree with that. I guarantee it by the name of the Witch of Certainty and I'm the Delta. The old you will definitely have resolved this closed room trick. That's my parting gift to you. Goodbye. You've sworn to the Witch of Certainty that you will act with certainty, so I won't say farewell. I'll see you again soon. Yes, we'll see you again soon. The Delta vanished into thin air. Then, in the smoking room of the witch, the two who held in the title of Endless Witch were left behind. One had empty eyes, the other supported the first by his side. Ironically, it was the exact opposite. C'est vraiment l'exact inverse du chapitre 5. L'exact inverse. Exactement. Parfait pour s'arrêter. Perfecto. Perfecto. En vrai, que 2 heures cette session. Mais alors, quelle session, hein. Putain la vache. Putain, pas elle. Eh vas-y, tu m'arrêtes là. Sinon je vais jamais arrêter. Oh putain, c'est vrai qu'il y a eu des têtes coupées quoi.
c'est parfait. Putain, la session de fou.
Et on va finir ça demain, du coup, avec grand plaisir. Bisous YouTube, à demain pour la fin du chapitre 6. Ça va être, je pense, exceptionnel. On se dit à demain. Et putain, quelle session de fou, encore une fois. La bise, la bise.